Here is something that feels backwards. The fastest way to read rhythm is not to read it silently. Players who count the beats out loud sight read measurably more accurately than players who keep the count locked inside their heads. It sounds like a party trick, but there is a plain reason it works. When you only think the count, the number floats free, and as soon as the notes get tricky, your inner voice speeds up to keep pace with your eyes. When you say it out loud, the sound forces a real, steady tempo, and your hands have something solid to lean on. The page stops being a wall of dots, because every dot now has a word attached to it, and you already know how to keep words evenly spaced when you talk. That is the entire idea. We turn rhythm into a short phrase you speak, and the speaking holds the time. So before we read a single bar, let me show you the system those words come from, beat by beat, level by level, and exactly why saying them aloud is what keeps you from ever losing your place. A counting system does one job, and it does it ruthlessly well. It gives every note a spoken label tied to exactly where that note sits in the bar. Your voice and the page get locked together, beat by beat, so the moment you fall behind you can hear it and fix it. Watch this bar of 4 quarter notes. Underneath them runs a steady click, the pulse of the music, the thing a metronome gives you. On every beat a number lands on the note above it, one number per click, perfectly square. Think of the click as the floor under the music. The numbers are where your voice touches that floor, again and again, never sinking through it and never floating above it. The notes can be long or short, busy or sparse, but the floor stays exactly where it is. Listen to the click underneath and notice that the words never drift, because the pulse never drifts. That separation is the whole foundation of good timing. The beat is fixed. Your job is only to decide which words land on it, and which words fall into the spaces between. Everything else in this lesson is just learning the words for those spaces. Start with the simplest case, for playing quarter notes in a bar of 4. Each one gets exactly one number. You count 1, 2, 3, 4, one word per beat, dead level with the click. That really is the whole skill in its smallest form, and most people rush right past it. Do not rush it. Say it with me now, out loud, against the click, 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep it boring. Keep it even. Feel how your voice lands square on each click with no gap and no overlap. Here is the part beginners skip. The first beat, beat 1, is the strong beat, the downbeat, the one you can lean on a little. Hearing where one falls is how you keep track of the bar as the music gets busier. So as you count, give one just a touch more weight. Every number sits squarely on a beat, and nothing falls between them yet, so there is nothing to trip over. This is your home base. When a rhythm later confuses you, you come straight back to these 4 numbers, slow them down, and rebuild from here. Now that the beats are solid, we start filling in the gaps between them. Split each beat in half and you get 8 notes, 2 of them in the time of 1 quarter. Now there is something happening between the numbers, so we need a word for it. The first half is still the beat, so it keeps its number. The second half, the part that falls exactly halfway between 2 beats, gets one short word, and. So a full bar of 8 notes reads 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The numbers are the beats. The ands are the offbeats, the halves. Say it out loud and you can hear the shape, a strong word on the beat, a lighter word in the gap, strong, light, perfectly regular. Count along with the click now and listen for the click landing on every number while your end floats cleanly in between 2 clicks. Here is the common slip to guard against. People say the ends too late, jamming them up against the next beat instead of placing them dead center. The fix is to make the end exactly as long as the number, like a steady walk, left, right, left, right. When the end sits in the true middle, the 8th notes come out even, and you have just doubled how finely you can read. Now split each half again, and one single beat suddenly holds for 16th notes. We need 2 more words. The full string for one beat is 1 E and A. Listen to how it breaks down. The number is the beat itself, the first 16th. Then E is the second 16th. The word and is the third, and notice it still sits right on the halfway point, exactly where it sat for the 8th notes. And A is the fourth and last 16th, just before the next beat arrives. So a whole bar reads 1 E and A, 2 E and A, 3 E and A, 4 E and A, 16 even syllables in all. Listen as each syllable lands on its own 16th, for crisp sounds packed into the space of one beat. The reason we say all four out loud, even when it feels like a tongue twister, is that your mouth becomes the metronome. Say the whole string evenly and your hands cannot rush, because the words physically take up the time the notes need. Start slowly, 1 E and A at a walking pace, and only speed up once the 4 syllables come out perfectly level. Get this string under your tongue and you can read the fastest passages a beginner will ever meet. Rhythm is not only sound. Silence is part of it too, written right into the music, and that is what a rest marks. A rest is a beat, or part of a beat, where you deliberately play nothing. Here is the single trick that saves beginners more than any other: you keep counting straight through the rest, without a flicker. You still say the number, you just do not play anything on it. Picture a bar with a rest sitting on beat 3. You count 1, 2, 3, 4 out loud as always, but on 3 your hand stays still and the sound drops out, while your voice carries on completely unbothered. This is exactly where people fall apart. They reach the rest, the sound stops, and they panic and stop counting too, so they have no idea when to come back in, and the next note arrives early or late. The count is what holds the empty beat open. It keeps the silence the right length, so the following note enters at precisely the right instant. Treat a rest as a beat you say but do not play, and silence stops being a gap you fall into. It becomes just another beat you count. One more case rounds this out: compound time, the gently rolling feel you hear in something like 6/8. Up to now every beat split into 2, then into 4. In compound time the beat divides into 3 even parts instead of 2, and that single change creates the lilt. So each beat now gets 3 syllables. A common one is 1 la li, 2 la li. 3 sounds per beat, spread perfectly evenly, and that gentle triple swing, that long short bounce, is exactly what makes music in 6/8 feel like it is rolling forward. Say 1 la li, 2 la li out loud and you can feel the difference from the flat in and out of duple time. Now, there are other syllable sets teachers use for the same job. Some say 1 ta la, some count the small notes by number. They all work, and none is more correct than another. What matters is that you pick one, the one your teacher uses or the one printed in your book, and then you stay with it. The whole power of counting comes from the words being automatic. If you keep swapping systems, your voice has to stop and think, and the timing falls apart. Choose once, then drill it until it is reflex. Now let us put every layer together on a real reading example. Here is a mixed bar, a quarter note on beat 1, a pair of 8th notes on beat 2, a group of 4 16th notes on beat 3, and a single quarter note on beat 4. For different speeds in one bar, and the count handles all of it. First time through, go slowly and count every syllable out loud against the click. It comes out like this: 1, 2 and 3 E and A, 4. Say it slowly with me. Hear how the count tells you precisely when each new note begins, because each note simply starts on the syllable printed above it. Beat 1 is a plain 1. Beat 2 splits into 2 and. Beat 3 fans out into 3 E and A. Beat 4 settles back to a single 4. Now take the exact same bar once more, up to a comfortable tempo, still counting out loud, and listen. The rhythm plays back the same shape, just faster, with the words keeping every note in its right place. Notice what actually did the work there. The words carried the timing. Your hands only followed where the words pointed. That is the method working. so the whole method fits in one breath. Say the beat. Say the end. Say the E and the A. And count straight through every rest without stopping. Do that, and almost any rhythm you will meet for years reads itself off the page, because you have already turned it into words you can speak in time. Here is the part to take seriously. The counting is not a crutch you use for a month and then throw away. It is the scaffold that holds your timing steady for the rest of your playing life. The strongest sight readers in the world still count, often silently by then, but the words are running underneath everything they play. Build that scaffold now, out loud, slowly, honestly, and it never leaves you. Rush past it, and you will be patching shaky timing for years. So slow down, say it, and let the words do the heavy lifting. We have now covered the when of reading, when each note happens. Next we move to the what you actually play, starting with the sharps and flats printed right after the clef at the very front of the line. That small cluster of symbols quietly rewrites whole notes across the entire piece, and it is called the key signature.